Welcome to Stories for Sleep. If you are listening to this video in the quiet of night, when the body has begun to grow tired, yet the mind still moves gently beneath the surface, then you are exactly where you are meant to be. Stories for Sleep was created for the moments before sleep, a space where stories are not meant to stimulate, not meant to be remembered, but simply to help you slow down and feel safe. Tonight's video invites you into the forest at night. When daylight withdraws, the forest does not disappear, it only changes its rhythm. Sounds become more subtle, movements more intentional, and everything unfolds slowly, discreetly. This is a world of beings that do not need to hurry, that do not need noise in order to exist. At Stories for Sleep, we tell stories of nature in a lulling way, without drama, without suspense. Every detail of the nighttime forest in this video is arranged like a long, steady breath, helping you sense that even in darkness, the world continues to function in a stable and safe way. Right now, you don't need to do anything at all. Simply lie still, listen, and allow the nighttime forest to guide you gently into sleep. When night falls and artificial lights gradually fade, something very familiar often happens. The body is tired, but the mind refuses to rest. Small thoughts begin to appear one after another, as if the brain is still trying to stand watch over the world, even when there is nothing left to do. We lie there in a quiet room, while inside there is constant movement. And it is precisely in this moment that many people begin to struggle with sleep. This video begins from a different place, not from the human world, but from the forest at night. When we sleep, the forest does not shut down. It simply changes its rhythm. The familiar daytime world withdraws, making room for something more refined, a place where light becomes rare and selective, where small sounds carry more meaning than noise, where every movement serves a purpose. The nighttime forest is not chaotic nor frightening as imagination often suggests. On the contrary, it operates slowly, precisely, and with great patience. From the perspective of Carl Gustav Jung, darkness is not the enemy of the mind, but the realm of the unconscious, a space where the most exhausted parts of the self are finally allowed to let go. In this way, the forest at night becomes a natural mirror of the state we seek before sleep. No need to control, no need to react, only to be present. In this video, you will be gently guided through the most intriguing aspects of the forest. After dark, hidden light within darkness, senses being quietly reshaped, silent biological rhythms, ways of surviving without display, and a deep, underlying order moving beneath the stillness. This is not a story meant to be remembered as knowledge, but a journey designed to help the mind feel safer. If you are listening to this video before sleep, allow curiosity to lead you, but without effort. Simply listen, as if standing at the edge of a nighttime forest where nothing urges you to move faster. And as you notice that nature can remain stable even in darkness, you may also realize that you do not need to stay awake to keep the world safe. Part 1. Opening the night. The forest that does not sleep. When night falls, a familiar misunderstanding often arises in the human mind, that everything is coming to a stop, that the retreat of light means absence, that when we can no longer see clearly, the world itself becomes empty. But the forest does not function this way. The forest does not sleep when night arrives, it simply changes its rhythm. By day, the forest feels familiar to the human eye. Sunlight filters through the canopy, paths are clearly visible, birdsong fills the air. Everything seems exposed, easy to recognize, easy to name. But when night comes, this layer of familiarity gently withdraws. Not like a sudden disappearance, but more like a long, unhurried breath. The loudest elements settle first. Excess movements gradually come to rest. And within that opening, another world begins to reveal itself. This is a world with less noise, where every sound has a reason to exist. There are no aimless calls, no random movements. Everything happens more slowly, yet with greater precision. In the night, a falling leaf is not merely a sound, it is a signal. An insect's rhythm is not just noise, it is information. The nighttime forest does not display itself. It conserves energy, conserves movement, and in doing so becomes deeper. For modern humans, darkness is often accompanied by unease. When light disappears, visual control fades with it. But the forest does not require that kind of control to function. In darkness, it shifts into another kind of order, the order of subtle signals. The beings that live here do not need to see the whole picture. They only need to know the right thing at the right moment. And it is precisely this sense of just enough that keeps the forest at night from becoming chaotic. Instead, it becomes remarkably organized. On a deeper level, the nighttime forest feels like a whisper meant for the weary. It does not demand your attention. It does not ask for a response. It simply exists as if quietly saying, "You do not need to see everything for things to be okay." When the forest changes its rhythm, not only does the ecosystem shift, perception shifts as well. By day, humans are accustomed to analyzing, comparing, measuring. At night, these tools become heavy. As light fades, rational thinking no longer leads the way. And in that moment, another mode of sensing is invited in, sensing through rhythm, through space, through presence. In the nighttime forest, every movement has purpose. There is no waste, no unnecessary step. This does not arise from tension, but from harmony with biological rhythm. As risk increases, energy is used more wisely. As vision diminishes, other senses awaken. The forest at night becomes a refined system, where each being knows its place within the whole, without competing for light. For the listener preparing to sleep, this idea carries quiet importance. It whispers that wakefulness is not always the optimal state. There are phases of life and of each day that are designed to slow down, not to disappear, but to reorganize from within. In depth psychology, night is often seen as a gateway to the unconscious, not a region of chaos, but a space where underlying processes continue while consciousness rests. The nighttime forest reflects this very state. As the light of awareness softens, deeper structures are given room to function. No words are required. No analysis is needed. Only time and rhythm. For this reason, this opening section is not meant to deliver information. It does not ask you to remember anything. Its sole function is to guide you across a threshold from the familiar alertness of daytime into a space where curiosity becomes lighter and relaxation begins to take hold. Like standing at the edge of a forest just after nightfall, you have not stepped inside yet, but you can already sense that this place does not threaten you. And when you realize that the forest can operate steadily in darkness, perhaps some part of you begins to believe this as well, that you do not need to stay awake to keep everything safe. Tonight, like the forest, you are allowed to change your rhythm, not to disappear, only to slow down. There is something rarely spoken aloud. People are not exhausted because they do too much, but because they try to maintain one rhythm for too long. By day, we live in the rhythm of light, the rhythm of quick responses, constant observation, the need to be there for the world. When night arrives, the body naturally seeks retreat, but the mind does not always follow. It keeps the old rhythm as if afraid that slowing down will cause something to be missed. The nighttime forest offers a very gentle counterargument to this fear. No being in the forest tries to maintain the daytime rhythm after nightfall. No animal keeps running fast simply because it did so during the day. No tree continues photosynthesis in the dark. Life persists not by clinging to a single state, but by knowing when to change rhythm. Night in the forest is therefore not a time of lack, but a time of adjustment. Adjustment of energy, adjustment of movement, adjustment of attention. Every being participates in this recalibration, each in its own way, yet all share one principle: when conditions change, the rhythm of life changes as well. For the listener preparing to sleep, this is a deeply important permission. You do not need to carry the daytime rhythm into the night. You do not need to maintain the same level of alertness, vigilance, or thinking. Like the forest, you are allowed to shift into another mode where attention gradually turns inward instead of outward. In the psychology of Carl Gustav Jung, this process is not weakness, but a rebalancing of the psyche. When consciousness steps back, the unconscious does not rebel. It takes over foundational tasks, processing emotions, organizing memory, healing accumulated tension. But this can only happen when the ego stops trying to control. The nighttime forest has no command center. It does not rely on centralized awareness to function. Its order is distributed, scattered, and yet deeply stable. And it is precisely this kind of order that creates a profound sense of safety, not the safety of seeing everything, but the safety of trusting that things know how to function on their own. The opening of the night does not ask you to step fully into the forest. It only invites you to pause for a moment at the edge between light and darkness, where day has just withdrawn and night has not yet fully taken over. This is a transitional zone where alertness and relaxation coexist without conflict. In this transitional space, curiosity becomes very gentle. Not curiosity that pushes you to explore through action, but curiosity that allows. Allowing the world to appear in a different way. Allowing small sounds to matter. Allowing darkness to no longer be linked with danger. Allowing yourself not to immediately understand what is happening. The deepest function of this section, therefore, is not informational. It lies in an inner shift from I am awake to I am here, from control to presence, from harsh light to the softened glow of night. As you listen to these words, you may still be awake. That is completely fine. The nighttime forest does not immediately reach peak activity the moment the sun sets. It needs time to transition, and so do you. The next part of the journey will move deeper into what truly unfolds in darkness, hidden light, restructured senses, silent communication networks. But before continuing, the most important foundation has already been set. Night is not empty. It is a space organized differently, slower, more discreet, and safe enough for you to loosen your grip. If your eyes are beginning to feel heavy now, if your breath is slowing, if your thoughts are thinning out, then you are doing exactly what the forest does each evening. You are changing rhythm, and that is the most natural way to enter sleep. When you have stood still long enough at the forest's edge, where daylight has just withdrawn and night has gently settled, something very subtle begins to happen. Darkness is no longer silent. It does not speak through brightness, nor does it announce itself with clear shapes. Instead, it whispers through small signs, just enough for those who are listening to notice. Night, in this sense, is not the absence of light. It is the space where light learns to be selective. And it is here that the next part of the story opens, not to help you see more, but to teach you how to see through a different rhythm. Part 2. Light within darkness, the language of night. We often speak of darkness as if it were absolute absence. But the nighttime forest does not function through absence. It functions through restraint. Daylight is broad-spectrum light, revealing, exposing, allowing many things to be seen at once. Nighttime light is different. It is rare, brief, precisely placed, and therefore more meaningful. In the darkness of the forest, a single small glow can become an entire message, not meant to attract everyone's attention, but to reach the right recipient. This is when light stops serving illumination and begins serving communication. Night does not erase light. Night teaches light how to speak in whispers. For the listener who is slowly letting go, this idea carries a gentle comfort. Not everything needs to be clearly seen to matter. Some things only need to appear softly at the right moment, and that is enough. Among nocturnal beings, fireflies offer one of the most beautiful examples of selective light. They do not glow continuously. They flash, then fade, then flash again, like breathing. A firefly's light is not meant to light the way or banish darkness. It is a coded signal for its own kind, for the right biological rhythm, for the right distance. When a small light appears and disappears, darkness does not weaken. On the contrary, darkness becomes the background that allows the signal to be read. Without darkness, the signal would dissolve. Night, therefore, is not the opposite of light, but its partner. On a psychological level, this reflects a deep principle: emotions do not need loud expression to be understood. Meaning does not need constant repetition to exist. In the unconscious, a fleeting image, if it is the right one, can carry more weight than hundreds of clearly articulated thoughts. Carl Gustav Jung once wrote, "The unconscious communicates with us in symbols. Symbols like firefly light do not illuminate the whole landscape. They flash at the precise moment needed, then withdraw. And precisely because they do not linger, they are remembered more deeply. If fireflies are like breath, bioluminescent fungi are steady presence. Their light does not flicker rapidly. It glows softly, evenly, quietly, not to draw human attention but to invite insects, beings that read light in their own way. In the nighttime forest, this light does not stand alone. It is woven into cycles of decomposition, renewal, and connection. Fungi do not glow to stand out. They glow to sustain relationship. The light here is a gentle, patient invitation. Come closer, follow this rhythm. In the deeper layers of the mind, certain processes unfold in much the same way. Not loudly, not urgently, not demanding immediate attention. They quietly emit signals in the dark, and only when you slow down enough, become still enough, can you sense them. This is why night, for many people, is when unexpected insights arise, not because they think more, but because they listen better. A central truth of the nighttime forest is this: light does not exist to be beautiful. It exists to communicate. Every beam, every glow, every faint reflection is tied to a specific function, orientation, recognition, warning, attraction, or synchronization of life rhythms. This contrasts sharply with how humans often use light to erase darkness, to control space, to extend the day. In the forest, light is used sparingly. And it is precisely this restraint that creates a refined language, where less is said, but what is said is exact. From a Jungian perspective, this is a lesson of the unconscious. It does not present itself the way consciousness does. It hints, suggests, marks. When you shine too strong a light into the unconscious, you do not see more, you make the signals disappear. But when darkness is allowed to remain as background, subtle signs become visible enough. The underlying message of this section can be spoken very slowly, very softly. Darkness is not empty. It is full of information. It is simply not information designed for human eyesight. It is meant for hearing, for scent, for sensing vibration, for wordless memory. As you listen to these words before sleep, your eyes do not need to be open. You may not need to see anything at all, because like the nighttime forest, meaning does not depend on clarity of vision, but on permission. Permission for light to appear when needed. Permission for darkness to remain the background. Permission for the mind to stop trying to understand. The next part of the journey will explore how the senses are restructured at night. But before moving on, the most important truth has already been placed. You do not need strong light to be safe. Sometimes a single small glow at the right moment is enough to remind you that everything is still functioning. And when you sense this, sleep no longer feels like something you must achieve. It becomes the next natural step, like allowing whispered light to guide the way through darkness. After light within darkness has learned to whisper something very natural, because the eyes step back from their central role. In the nighttime, forest light does not vanish, but it is no longer strong enough to guide every decision. And as vision retreats slightly, other doors of perception begin to open. Not loudly, not competitively, simply because it is their turn. Part 3. The restructuring of the senses. Humans often assume that when light diminishes, perception diminishes as well. But in the nighttime forest, the opposite is true. Night does not weaken the senses. It reorganizes them. The senses that are overshadowed by the dominance of daytime vision are finally given space to function according to their true nature. By day, the eyes take in too much. They pull the mind into constant sorting, comparing, rapid responding. At night, as vision becomes limited, attention is redistributed. Hearing, smell, skin, even the sensing of vibration and pressure, all are invited to step forward. Not to replace sight, but to form a more balanced harmony. In the forest, this balance is not a choice. It is a condition for survival. Nocturnal animals do not try to hear better or smell better. They are designed to do so when light fades. Night therefore becomes an environment that favors senses which do not rely on clear images, but instead read the world through rhythm and signs. Some species see better in low light, not because they perceive more detail, but because they are sensitive to subtle differences. A faint movement, a shadow slightly out of rhythm, a small shift in the dark background. This is not the vision of analysis, but the vision of recognition. At night, seeing no longer aims to identify everything but to detect what matters. This differs greatly from the human daytime habit, where the clearer we see, the safer we feel. The nighttime forest offers another kind of safety that comes from knowing enough, not knowing everything. On a psychological level, this corresponds to an important shift before sleep. When you stop trying to see clearly every thought, stop trying to explain every emotion, the mind begins to loosen its grip. You do not need to illuminate every inner shadow. You only need to trust that what needs to be noticed will reveal itself. Carl Gustav Jung once wrote, "One does not become enlightened by imagining figures of light, but by making the darkness conscious." This sentence does not urge us to add more light. It reminds us that some things can only be felt when we accept dimness, when we allow darkness to remain the background. At night, the air is more stable. There is less disturbance, less background noise, and within this stillness, sound travels farther. The ears of nocturnal animals do not simply hear louder. They hear deeper, perceiving direction, distance, and even intention. A small sound is not merely noise, it is a message carrying location, movement, and time. The nighttime forest is therefore not silent. It simply speaks less, but every message is clear. For the listener, drifting towards sleep, this is a gentle invitation. Allow your ears to work instead of your eyes. No need to imagine, no need for images. The rhythm of sound, a steady, slow narration, is enough to let the mind feel guided. In the unconscious, sound takes a shorter path than images. It moves directly into emotion without needing interpretation. This is why stories told in a slow, even, unhurried voice can bring a sense of safety so quickly. Much like the forest uses sound to maintain order at night. When night falls, scent travels farther. Cool, stable air allows traces of smell to linger longer, remain clearer. For many species, scent is a map, a recent history, a message left along an invisible path. Beyond, scent vibration and pressure also become information. A soft footstep on dry leaves, a slight shift in the air, a vibration moving through the ground. Night turns the earth into a sensitive skin where life is perceived through indirect contact. In the deeper layers of the human mind, there are similar senses, wordless, imageless, concept-free perceptions. Before sleep, as rational thinking grows tired, these sensations are given a chance to speak. A feeling of safety with no clear source, a faint memory drifting by, a quiet sense that everything is okay, without any specific reason. This is not accidental. It is the unconscious at work, much like the nighttime forest, requiring no strong light, no explanation, only the right conditions. To close this section, it can be said very softly, night does not prioritize vision. It favors senses that do not require constant control. Hearing, smelling, sensing, vibration, all function best when we stop trying. This is why night becomes the natural space for rest. Not because there is less information, but because information arrives more gently, without force, without overload, without immediate demands for response. The next part of the journey will move deeper into the silent communication systems of the nighttime forest scent-sound rhythm as a precise and economical network. But before continuing, the most important truth has already been placed. You do not need to see in order to know that you are safe. Like the nighttime forest, you can allow vision to rest. And when it rests, other parts of you will know how to guide you into sleep. When the senses are reorganized by night, something very natural occurs. Perception no longer serves only to receive the world, it becomes the way the world speaks. In the nighttime forest, there is no meaningless silence. What seems still is carrying messages, being sent, being received. These messages do not travel through words, do not require strong light, and are not meant for hurried attention. From here, we move into a deeper layer of night silent communication. Part 4. Silent communication scent, sound rhythm, if we war. Observe the nighttime forest through daytime eyes. It is easy to think that it lacks communication. No loud calls, no dramatic gestures, no signals clearly readable by humans. But reality is quite the opposite. The nighttime forest is one of nature's most complex and efficient communication systems. The difference is simple. It does not use human language. At night, communication is not about display, but about transmitting exactly the necessary information with the lowest possible energy cost. Each signal is designed to reach the right recipient at the right distance at the right moment. No excess, no waste, no need for outsiders to understand. This makes nocturnal communication discreet, yet astonishingly precise. A faint scent can guide movement across hundreds of meters. A specific sound frequency can pass through dense foliage without distortion. A distinct calling rhythm can identify one species among dozens of similar ones. At a deeper level, the forest is in constant conversation. It simply speaks through scent, sound, and rhythm. At night, scent becomes one of the most important communication channels. Cool, stable air allows scent molecules to travel farther, retain their structure longer, and carry richer information. For moths, pheromones are not merely reproductive signals. They are maps, invitations, orientations in dark space. What is remarkable is this scent does not require active attention. It seeps in, is read instinctively without thought. This is why scent-based communication is extraordinarily energy efficient. No need for constant emission. No need for immediate response. Presence alone is enough, while the other nervous system completes the process. On a psychological level, this becomes a powerful metaphor. Some aspects of inner life do not need to be spoken, do not need analysis. They are sensed, recognized through a vague familiarity, a wordless sense of right or wrong. This is how the unconscious works. Carl Gustav Jung once wrote, "The unconscious is not just evil by nature, it is also the source of the highest good." The unconscious is not loud. It does not argue. It sends signals like scent in the nighttime forest, and when we are quiet enough, we recognize them. Nighttime sound differs from daytime sound. Stable air allows sound waves to travel farther with less distortion. This enables many species to use very specific frequencies strong enough to pass obstacles, subtle enough to avoid detection by those not meant to hear. Sound in the nighttime forest is not meant to attract attention. It is meant to locate. A call does not only say, "I am here," but also, "This is who I am, this is how far away I am, you may approach, or you should stay away." Rhythm, pitch, and the pauses between sounds all carry meaning. This contrasts sharply with human daytime communication, where sound is often overused, too much, too loud, too fast. The nighttime forest teaches the opposite lesson, say less to be understood more clearly. Before sleep, this lesson becomes especially important. The mind does not need more explanation. It needs a steady rhythm, a stable voice, a sound that demands no response. This is why listening rather than seeing becomes the safest path into sleep. Beneath scent and sound lies an even deeper layer of communication rhythm. The rhythm of species calls, the rhythm of movement, the rhythm of appearance and disappearance. Rhythm not only prevents confusion between species, but synchronizes behavior across the entire ecosystem. Rhythm is a language without symbols. It carries no specific content, yet conveys state. When rhythm shifts, the whole system adjusts. Night in the forest is therefore not chaotic. It is stabilized by thousands of small rhythms naturally aligned with one another. At the unconscious level, humans also respond deeply to rhythm. Slow breathing calms the nervous system. Even pacing loosens conscious control. Repetition creates safety. This is no coincidence. It is an ancient biological inheritance linking us to the forests of long ago. To close this section, it can be said very quietly, nighttime communication is not meant to impress. It is meant to maintain balance. Through scent, sound, and rhythm, the forest exchanges information in the most precise, discreet, and energy-efficient way possible. And because of this, it creates a deep sense of safety. Not the safety that comes from everything being said, but the safety that comes from everything being heard in the right way. The next part of the journey will take you even lower into the forest, to the ground, the leaf litter, and the quiet night shift of small life. But before moving on, the most important truth has already been placed. You do not need to speak much to be understood. Like the nighttime forest, sometimes it is enough simply to be present in the right rhythm and everything becomes calm enough for you to drift into sleep. When the final signals of scent, sound, and rhythm have been sent into the night, the forest does not stop. It simply shifts its focus. From open space, from the canopy, from invisible streams of communication, attention moves downward, to where light rarely reaches, to where daytime humans often overlook, down to the ground. There is no display, no large movement, but a steady shift is beginning, the night shift of small life. Part 5. The ground and lower layers. The night shift of small life. When humans close their doors, turn off the lights and lie down, the forest enters a different rhythm. Not the rhythm of large predators, not the rhythm of flight or distant calls, but a rhythm close to the ground, slow and continuous. This is when small beings, insects, snails, amphibians, spiders, millipedes become most present. They do not appear to impress. They appear because night belongs to them. Humidity rises, temperature drops, light fades. These conditions may be uncomfortable for humans, but they form the ideal environment for life that stays close to the earth. At night, the ground is no longer a silent backdrop. It becomes a living surface, where every movement has purpose, searching for food, breaking down matter, clearing what the day has left behind. There is no haste, no visible competition, only patient continuation. If by day the forest's center lies in the canopy, and the light by night, that center shifts downward to the layer of fallen leaves. Leaf litter, broken branches, decaying bark, what is often seen as residue, becomes the primary source of life for an entire world. Within this layer, decomposition is not an ending, it is transformation. Bacteria, fungi, and small insects work continuously to turn old matter into new nourishment. Every slow movement contributes to the restructuring of the forest for tomorrow, for the next season, for cycles far longer than a human life. No being here stands out. Yet without them, the forest could not continue. This is an important truth, not only ecological but psychological. What is quiet often carries the greatest responsibility. At night, predation is not always a chase. In the lower layers, it unfolds, slowly, closely, precisely. A spider waits patiently for vibration. An amphibian waits for the right humidity. A scavenging insect takes on a role no one else claims. Decomposition happens the same way, without strong smells, without dramatic signs. Matter slowly softens, separates, and merges back into the soil. What was once trunk, green leaf, living body becomes dispersed energy nourishing the entire system. The nighttime forest does not merely live, it maintains itself. It cleans, recycles, and repairs without supervision. No schedules, no central coordinator, only small roles, repeated steadily across millions of nights. On the psychological level, this part of the forest clearly mirrors another space, the lower layers of the human mind. Small memories, unnamed emotions, experiences too minor to be clearly remembered, all rest there like leaf litter beneath the forest floor. Carl Gustav Jung once wrote, "In the unconscious, there is always something that remains outside the personal sphere." The unconscious does not only hold major conflicts, it also holds small, quiet details, repeated day after day. And like the forest, it is precisely these details that perform the work of inner maintenance, processing lingering emotions, breaking down tension, reorganizing psychological energy. Before sleep, when consciousness rests, this lower layer becomes most active. It requires no analysis, no intervention, only time and quiet. Sleep, therefore, is not an escape, it is the condition that allows this night shift to take place. What the nighttime forest teaches, very softly yet very clearly, is this: not all work requires light. Some tasks can only be done well in darkness, in slowness, in repetition. You do not need to witness decomposition for it to occur. You do not need to understand every step for the process to complete. You only need not to interfere. When you lie down and do nothing, your body and mind are not wasting time. They are entering a silent work shift like the forest floor. The small lives within you, cells, hormones, memories, emotions, are beginning to clean, maintain, and reorganize. The next part of the journey will guide you upward toward the canopy and vertical space. But before leaving the ground, the most important truth has been placed: you do not need to stay awake for things to be repaired. Like the forest, each night you may rest and trust that beneath the surface, small life is doing its work slow enough, steady enough to carry you gently into sleep. When the silent shift of the lower layers has settled into rhythm, when the ground has been cleaned, recycled, and stabilized, the forest does not stop. Life does not spread only across the surface. It rises vertically, from damp leaf litter along rough trunks, up into high branches and dense canopy. Night reveals another structure, a vertical city that awakens when light withdraws. Here, height is not an advantage for display. It is a safe passage, a discreet route, a space where beings choose lighter ways of existing. And once you feel at ease with the ground, the journey invites you to look upward, not to see, but to sense expansion. Part 6. The canopy and vertical space in darkness. Flight becomes especially valuable. Flying squirrels, winged insects, and many small beings use the space between tree crowns as corridors of air. They do not fly to be faster. They fly to avoid contact with damp ground, with predators, with unnecessary collisions. Night flight is not loud. No heavy wing beats, only gentle arcs, short glides, familiar landing points. Each journey is calculated to minimize energy use and reduce the chance of detection. On the psychological level, this reflects subtle transitions, no confrontation, no force. Before sleep, the mind does not need to move straight through every problem. It can glide past touch lightly and land somewhere safer. Not all beings fly. Many choose to climb. Climbing is not fast, but it is stable. It does not create open space, but it creates distance. For nocturnal animals, height is a layer of protection away from ground threats, direct competition, and unpredictable movement. Tree trunks become vertical highways. Bark remembers footsteps. Branches offer resting points. Leaves provide cover. Together they form a transportation network, rarely seen by human eyes, yet deeply known by the forest. This suggests a gentle truth. Safety is not always found by moving forward. Sometimes safety comes from changing levels, changing altitude, changing approach. For the weary listener, this is permission. You do not need to solve everything at the same level of attention. In depth, psychology space is not only horizontal, it has depth and height. What lies low relates to instinct and foundational processing. What lies high relates to perspective, distance, and symbolic meaning. The nighttime canopy, in this sense, mirrors the vertical dimension of the mind. Carl Gustav Jung once wrote, "The psyche is not of today. Its ancestry goes back many millions of years." This reminds us that the mind is organized in layers, each with its appropriate time to function. At night, when the lower layers are settled into rhythm, other layers may open not for analysis, but to create safe distance from heavy thoughts. Sleep does not pull you downward, it redistributes. One part of you rests below, another glides lightly above, just as the forest allows life to spread across vertical space. To close this section, It can be said very softly, the nighttime canopy is not a temporary hiding place. It is a complete transportation system. No signs, no traffic lights, only natural structure and accumulated knowing. And because of this, it runs smoothly. For the listener, the lesson of this vertical city is simple. You do not need to remain in one place within your mind all night. You may let one part rest while another moves gently without goal, without pressure, only to find enough distance to let go. The next part of the journey will explore strategies of hunting and hiding not through strength, but through timing and patience. Before moving on, allow this sense of vertical openness to settle. Like the nighttime forest, you do not need to open new paths. The roots are already there. Just change levels and let sleep arrive in its own rhythm. When the forest has opened vertically, when silent paths along trunks and canopy fall into rhythm, movement itself is no longer the main question. Something more important emerges: when to move and when to stop. In darkness, speed is no longer the ultimate advantage. Timing becomes the key. And here the nighttime forest reveals one of its deepest lessons. Hunting and hiding are not contests of strength, but arts of strategy and patience. Part 7. Hunting and Hiding Strategy. Over Strength by P.A. Day strength is often displayed: who is faster, larger, who occupies more space. At night, these rules quietly dissolve. Dim light makes large movements risky. Sound travels farther in cool, stable air. Scent lingers longer, spreads wider. In such conditions, haste is often defeat. Nocturnal predators rarely rush blindly toward prey. They listen for long periods. They memorize terrain. They register subtle changes in the forest's breathing. An attack occurs only when probability is high enough to justify the energy spent. Prey, in contrast, does not run constantly. It stands still, blends into darkness, alters familiar routes, or simply does not appear during dangerous hours. Hiding is not weakness. It is refined survival strategy. In darkness, vision plays only a small role. Predators rely more on hearing, smell, and memory. Every faint sound, a leaf touching ground, a breath out of rhythm carries information. Every familiar scent is a trace of the past extended into the present. Memory becomes central. Routes that once worked, places that once failed, hours that were once safe, all are stored and continuously updated. Night does not allow many mistakes. Precision of memory matters more than muscle. Here, the forest offers a gentle lesson to the human mind. You do not need to solve every problem through action. Sometimes it is enough to remember what once kept you safe and repeat it slowly. One of humanity's deepest misunderstandings is believing that stillness equals helplessness. In the nighttime forest, stillness is an active decision. Prey knows that every movement generates signal. Sometimes not moving is the way to reduce signal to its lowest point. Stillness is not giving up. Stillness is waiting for a different rhythm, letting the world pass before continuing. Many beings survive the night not because they run fast, but because they know when not to run. Before sleep, this is a vital message: you do not need to react to every thought. Some thoughts will drift away if you do not move with them. No hunt guarantees success. No shelter is absolutely safe. The nighttime forest operates on probability, not certainty. Good strategy does not eliminate risk. It reduces it to an acceptable level. This creates a distinct rhythm of life: slow, calculated, unhurried. Every decision weighs energy spent against benefit gained. Everything is optimized for endurance, not quick victory. At a deeper level, this is where Jung's thought resonates naturally. He once wrote, "In all chaos there is a cosmos, in all disorder, a secret order." From a Jungian view, hunting and hiding are not merely biological acts, but images of inner conflict. The ego does not always need to defeat other parts of the psyche. Sometimes, balance comes from adjusting probabilities, allowing all parts to coexist without collapsing the whole system. The nighttime forest does not glorify recklessness. It honors those who listen, wait, and stop at the right moment. Strength, when used, appears only after conditions are ripe. Most of life endures through decisions so small they are nearly invisible. For the listener preparing to sleep, this brings deep reassurance. You do not need to fight insomnia. You do not need to force the body or mind. Sleep, like the nighttime forest, comes to those who do not try to control it through strength. As you lie still, now remember that the forest outside and the forest within operates through strategy, not force. Everything is being considered slowly. Nothing is urgent. The next part will lead you into a world of memory mapping and quiet intelligence where life navigates without light. But right now, you may let the safety of strategy sink gently into your breath. You do not need to be faster. You only need to be in rhythm. And tonight, that rhythm is slow enough to let you rest. After silent hunts and deliberate stillness, the nighttime forest continues through an even deeper capacity memory. Strategy cannot exist without recall. Patience cannot repeat without an inner map to return to. Beneath all energy-saving movement, the forest reveals another intelligence, the intelligence of memory, orientation, and awareness without light. Here, chaos is only the feeling of those who have not learned to read traces. For nocturnal beings, the forest is a living map, written in scent, in the lean of tree trunks, in wind, rhythm, and in subtle shifts of terrain. Part 8. Memory maps and quiet intelligence. Many nocturnal animals do not explore the forest each time they venture out. They remember it. Safe routes are stored across seasons. Paths that once led to danger are marked in memory, not through images, but through sensation. This memory does not need to be perfectly precise. It only needs to be reliable enough to reduce risk. The angle of a leaning trunk, the way a stone holds warmth, whether an old scent has changed together, these form a sensory map that only those who move slowly know how to read. The nighttime forest, therefore, is not a place of randomness. It is a space of deep familiarity where each being moves within remembered territory, much like walking through your own home with the lights turned off. For humans, notice boards carry written messages. For the nighttime, forest notice boards are traces. A scratch on bark, a foreign scent on the ground, a patch of soil recently disturbed, all convey information about who passed through, when, and in what state. Without ever seeing another being, the forest still knows where others are through these traces. This is a form of intelligence that does not require confrontation, does not rely on spoken communication. It reduces conflict, conserves energy, and keeps the ecosystem running smoothly. On the psychological level, this closely resembles how the human unconscious works. Many of our emotions, memories, and reactions do not need to be named in order to shape behavior. They exist as inner traces, quietly guiding our choices. Not all memory resides in the brain. For many species, terrain itself becomes memory. Familiar stumps, warm rock hollows, slippery slopes all function as orientation points. When part of the forest changes, behavior changes with it. This creates a form of distributed intelligence. Memory is not concentrated in one place, but spread throughout the environment. The being and the forest remember together. Life does not stand apart from its surroundings. It merges with them. This idea aligns closely with the thinking of Carl Gustav Jung, who understood the human mind not as isolated within personal consciousness, but as deeply connected to broader, deeper structures. He wrote, "Until you make the unconscious conscious, it will direct your life and you will call it fate." In the nighttime forest, no one calls this fate. It is simply unrecognized memory continuing to guide movement. No being in the nighttime forest tries to prove its intelligence. Intelligence here is not performative. It appears quietly, in fewer mistakes, in returning to the right shelter, in avoiding unnecessary encounters. This intelligence does not require speed. It does not require large data sets. It does not require complex analysis. It relies on long repetition, deep remembering, and trust in accumulated experience. For the listener before sleep, this offers gentle reassurance. You do not need to solve everything right now. Many parts of you already know the way, even while consciousness is tired. You can trust the intelligence gathered through years of living. From the outside, the nighttime forest may look like an unstructured mass of darkness, but to those within it, it is a clearly organized space, simply organized in a way not meant for human eyes. Memory maps and quiet intelligence combine to form a stable orientation system. No strong light is needed. No central control is required. Everything functions through deep familiarity with its own environment. As you lie here listening to these words, remember that the nighttime forest and your own mind does not need to be fully awake to function well. Some parts of you already remember how to stay safe, how to return, how to rest. You do not need to think more. You do not need to draw a new map. The familiar path is already there. The next part will guide you into the way the forest functions as an ecological machine where background processes continue slowly and steadily. But right now, you may allow memory to do its work. Night is not chaotic. It simply remembers a great deal and speaks very softly. After recognizing that the nighttime forest is not chaotic, but guided by memory maps and quiet intelligence, a natural question arises. What keeps all this remembering from falling apart? What allows thousands of beings, each with its own rhythm, to coexist in the same space year after year? The answer does not lie in will or awareness, but in background processes, movements so slow they are barely noticed. At a deeper level, the nighttime forest operates like an ecological machine without an operator, without light yet continuously and precisely. Part 9. The forest as an ecological machine. When humans close their eyes and assume that everything around them stops, the forest simply changes, shifts. Daytime is the shift of photosynthesis, large movement, direct interaction. Nighttime is the shift of maintenance, connection, and rebalancing. Roots continue to grow in darkness, threading through narrow soil spaces in search of water and minerals. They do not need light to find their way. They follow moisture, temperature, and subtle chemical signals. Life here does not need display in order to persist. Beneath leaf litter and dark soil, a vast system is at work, the fungal network. Fine threads of fungi connect the roots of many different trees, allowing them to share water, nutrients, and even warning signals. There is no leader tree, no command center. Information flows according to need, difference, and capacity to receive. This is a form of collective intelligence, operating through distribution rather than control. In darkness, the forest does not think in words. It thinks in flows. Fallen trunks, which may seem like signs of an ending, become sources of warmth and energy. Decomposition happens slowly, generating gentle heat that shelters and nourishes countless small organisms. Nothing is wasted. Nothing is abandoned. Every ending is transformed into a foundation for continuation. Night is when these transformations occur most effectively, when temperature is stable and humidity is high. This mirrors how the human unconscious works past experiences, when not forced to be processed, immediately gradually break down and reorganize in their own time. Soil is not inert ground. It breathes. At night, the earth releases carbon dioxide, moisture, and stored heat. These subtle flows help create a stable microclimate, protecting roots and low-level organisms from sudden change. The breath of the soil is silent. It cannot be heard. Yet it prevents the entire system from collapsing. An ecological machine does not rely on dramatic movement, but on very steady rhythms. On the psychological level, this reflects inner self-regulating processes, those that occur when we allow ourselves to rest. At night, dew and mist form, wrapping the forest in a thin layer of moisture. This reduces water loss, stabilizes temperature, and softens extremes. It is not a random phenomenon, but the result of millions of years of interaction between soil, trees, and air. This microclimate serves no single being. It serves the entire system. No one decides it. It emerges naturally when conditions align. Seeing the nighttime forest as an ecological machine reveals a deep parallel with the human mind. as understood by Carl Gustav Jung, who wrote, "The psyche is a self-regulating system that maintains its equilibrium just as the body does." From this perspective, the mind, like the forest, does not require constant supervision. It has its own mechanisms for adjustment, repair, and balance, as long as we do not interfere excessively. Night, therefore, is not an empty interval. It is the maintenance period of both nature and the soul. As you listen to these words, the forest outside continues its work. Roots keep searching. Fungi keep connecting. Soil keeps breathing. No light is needed. No awareness is required. And in the same way, within you, there are parts working quietly to keep everything stable even when you are not thinking about them. You do not need to stay awake to guard them. You do not need to understand everything to be safe. The next part will lead you into time, moonlight, and biological rhythm, the ancient clocks guiding both forest and human. But right now, you may allow your body to do the most natural thing it knows: change shifts and rest. After seeing the forest as an ecological machine that never truly stops, another question arises. What keeps this machine from losing rhythm? What allows roots, fungi, soil, mist, insects, and countless beings to operate continuously without collision, exhaustion, or chaos? The answer lies in time, not human, clock time, but biological time, measured by moonlight cycles and ancient repetition. When night falls, the forest does not merely change shifts, it enters a different experience of time. Part 10. Time, the moon, and biological rhythm. Humans' night is often called by a single name, but for the forest, night is not uniform. It has phases, calendars, peaks, and pauses. The beings who live here do not simply know it is night, they know which part of night it is. Early night differs from deep night. A crescent moon differs from a full moon. A cloudy night differs from a clear one. Each subtle change carries information about risk, opportunity, and when to appear or not. Time in the forest does not flow evenly. It stretches and contracts with light. Moonlight does more than brighten darkness. It acts as a biological signal. Under bright moonlight, prey is more visible. Under dim or obscured moonlight, predators gain advantage. Many species therefore adjust hunting movement and rest according to lunar cycles. No one instructs them to do this. There are no forest meetings. The adjustment happens quietly across generations, encoded into biological rhythm. The moon becomes a shared clock. No batteries, no counting, yet deeply reliable. Here, time does not command. It suggests. Many forest beings do not decide when to move or rest. Their bodies already know. Hormones shift with light. Temperature shapes reflexes. Memory activates familiar behavior. This is biological rhythm, a form of intelligence that does not require thinking. It allows life to conserve energy, avoid mistakes, and endure. No analysis, no hesitation. The body simply synchronizes with time. And this is why the nighttime forest is rarely chaotic. Each species has its own time window. Each behavior has its own allowance. Rhythm prevents overlap. Modern humans are accustomed to linear time, do, finish, move on. The forest lives by cyclical time. Everything returns. Everything repeats, yet never exactly the same. Within this cycle, rest is not interruption. Rest is part of operation. Without night, day would collapse. Without pause, movement would destroy itself. At a deeper level, this is where Jung's thought becomes especially clear. He wrote, "The creation of something new is not accomplished by the intellect, but by the play instinct, acting from inner necessity." Biological rhythm is that inner necessity, the quiet requirement that things happen at the right moment without force. From a Jungian perspective, much human tension arises when consciousness tries to move against natural rhythm. The body wants to rest, but the mind wants control. The biological clock wants to slow, but thought wants speed. The nighttime forest does not argue with time, it listens. When moonlight shifts, behavior shifts. When risk rises, movement decreases. There is no judgment, only adjustment. This is a gentle reminder for the listener: if you have not fallen asleep yet, nothing is wrong with you. You may simply need a little more time for your inner rhythm to align. What is remarkable is this: even with phases, schedules, and rhythms, the forest applies no pressure. No one is late. No one is evaluated. Rhythm simply exists, ready for those who are willing to join it. Time in the forest is not something to conquer. It is something to lean into. As you listen now, the moon, whether you see it or not, continues its path across the sky. The forest keeps adjusting. Beings keep choosing when to move, when to pause, when to rest. And so do you. You do not need to force sleep. You only need to remain long enough in this slower rhythm. The next part will lead you into quiet balance, where there are no heroes, no applause, only small beings quietly keeping the world from tipping. But right now, you may allow your body to remember something very ancient. Sleep is not a task. It is synchronization. When the moon has fulfilled its role as an ancient clock, when biological rhythm has slowed enough for every movement to find its proper place, the nighttime forest enters another state balance. Not static balance, but living balance, maintained night after night, hour after hour, through countless small actions that almost no one notices. Here there is no climax, no victory moment, no applause, only quiet beings doing their part, so the whole system does not tip. Part 11. Quiet balance. In the forest, death does not create emptiness. A fallen trunk, a dead animal, a fallen leaf, each immediately becomes the beginning of a new balance. Scavenger species appear not as predators, but as the sanitation workers of the ecosystem. They carry no titles. They receive no praise. Yet without them, the forest would be overwhelmed by accumulation. They transform endings into continuation, allowing the cycle of life to close without blockage. In darkness, cleaning is not a lesser task. It is the condition that allows everything else to keep living. Many species in the forest do not hunt in order to dominate, but to keep numbers within sustainable limits. Insects are controlled not because they are bad, but because if they exceed a threshold, the entire system becomes unstable. No single species carries total responsibility. Each one affects only a very small part, but together they create long-term balance. This is not order imposed from above, but order that emerges from continuous interaction. In the nighttime forest, power does not belong to the strongest. It belongs to the proper distribution of roles. Every form of matter in the forest has a next journey. Leftover food, decaying leaves, broken trunks, all are recycled into new energy. Not through one grand action, but through countless small steps unfolding very slowly. This recycling does not require a master plan. It happens because each being performs its own role according to biological rhythms refined over millions of years. This is a form of intelligence that does not require awareness, the intelligence of the system itself. In the forest, sharing is not always intentional. An animal drops food. Another uses what remains. Fungi move nutrients from stronger trees to weaker ones. There are no agreements, no records of contribution. Sharing happens because it allows the entire network to survive longer. And in a system that endures long enough, supporting the system is the same as supporting oneself. This is an ethics without laws, the ethics of mutual dependence. Humans often tell stories with a main character, but the nighttime forest has no center. If one species disappears, another adjusts. If one process slows, another intensifies. No one holds the most important role. Balance is maintained not by exceptional individuals, but by the persistence of very ordinary actions. This image closely reflects how Carl Gustav Jung viewed the human psyche. He once wrote, "The greatest and most important problems of life are all fundamentally insoluble. They can never be solved, but only outgrown." Balance does not come from solving every conflict, but from living long enough and slowly enough for conflict to find its own place. From a Jungian perspective, a healthy mind is not one without contradiction, but one capable of self-regulation. Difficult emotions, when neither suppressed nor exaggerated, resemble matter in the forest, processed, recycled, and returned to a neutral state. No inner hero is required. No forced positivity is needed. Only permission for the process to unfold. By day, everything is easily pushed toward climax. At night, the slower rhythm allows background processes to work more effectively. Small things are handled. Accumulations break down. Imbalances are corrected. Night is not absent. Night is working very hard, just without making noise. As you listen now, remember that the forest outside does not need heroes to remain standing. It exists through countless small beings working quietly without asking to be seen. And inside you, it is the same. You do not need to be exceptional today. You do not need to resolve everything. You do not need to hold the world in balance through willpower. The next part will guide you toward an ending where night rearranges everything in a softer, slower way, safe enough for you to rest. For now, allow quiet balance to do its work. After all the silent movements of the forest, nameless cleaners, quiet recycling loops, subtle adjustments that keep the world from tipping everything, gradually enters a very particular state. Not an ending, but enough. Enough that no further action is needed. Enough that observation can stop. Enough to let go. And just like the forest, the listener no longer needs to carry additional information. Everything necessary has already been placed where it belongs. Part 12. Conclusion. Night is not absence night. Rearranges. Humans often fear night because they believe it represents absence. Absence of light. Absence of control. Absence of the ability to see what is happening. But the nighttime forest reveals a very different truth. Night is not absent at all. It is simply present in a way that does not demand attention. The most essential processes, maintenance, balance, connection, restructuring, are best carried out without being watched. Night is the time for work that does not need to be witnessed in order to matter. And in the same way, the human mind does not need to constantly monitor itself in order to remain stable. Some parts of you function best when you do not interfere. In this closing section, what matters most is not understanding but allowing yourself to forget. You do not need to remember details about the forest, its beings, or its rhythms. Those images have completed their task. They have carried you away from the urgency of daytime. Now memory may rest. Information may dissolve. Like fallen leaves in the forest, it does not need to retain its shape in order to continue nourishing the ground. From Carl Gustav Jung's perspective, the unconscious does not need to be filled with more content. It needs space. He wrote, "The unconscious is not just evil by nature, it is also the source of the highest good. Letting go of memory is not loss. It is how deeper parts of you are given room to work. One of humanity's quietest fears is this: if we stop paying attention, everything will fall apart. But the nighttime forest demonstrates the opposite. When light withdraws, order does not collapse. It is simply reorganized according to a different logic, slower, softer, less conflict-driven. Night does not destroy what day has built. It redistributes energy, easing what has become too tense. What matters will still be there in the morning. What is unnecessary will quietly fall away. And the same is true for you. You do not need to keep the world intact through wakefulness. At this point in the story, the listener is invited to do one very simple thing: to feel. Not to analyze, not to reason, not to search for meaning. The order of night is not a concept to understand, but a bodily experience. A slower breath, a silence that no longer feels threatening, a sense that everything is in its place, even if you do not know exactly where that place is. This is the state in which sleep usually arrives not as an achievement, but as a natural consequence. There is one important message the nighttime forest offers: you are allowed to rest. Not because you have completed everything, not because you deserve it or do not deserve it, but because rest is part of living order. No being in the forest feels guilty for stopping. No tree apologizes for not growing faster at night. Rest needs no justification. If one final image is needed, imagine night as a very patient organizer. It does not speak much, it does not explain. It simply places everything where it causes the least harm. Excess thoughts are set aside. Tense emotions are softened. Unanswered questions are folded up, saved for another day. You do not need to help night do its work. Night has been doing this for millions of years. And now, as this story gently comes to a close, you do not need to do anything else. No need to follow the voice. No need to stay alert. If something still lingers, let it dissolve with your breath. Night does not make the world disappear. It simply rearranges everything more slowly, more gently, and safely enough for you to rest. Good night. And if you drift into sleep before the story fully ends, that is perfectly fine. When night has quietly rearranged everything, when unnecessary movement has settled, the forest enters an even deeper state, being held. No longer operating, no longer adjusting, simply resting in darkness like a protected cocoon. Here, one of humanity's oldest fears begins to soften the fear of darkness. And the forest, through its quiet presence, offers a different answer than the one we usually believe. Part 13. Darkness is not dangerous, where life is. Sheltered humans often associate darkness with danger, because vision, the primary tool of control, fails when light disappears. But in the forest, darkness is not a lack. It is a deliberate covering. A layer that softens every sharp edge of the world. Darkness reduces visibility, and in doing so reduces collision. It leads to fewer direct confrontations, less display, less exposure. In darkness, life does not need to prove its existence. It only needs permission to remain. This is why many beings truly live only after night falls. There are processes in the forest that cannot occur under strong light. Reproduction, tissue, regeneration, healing, energy restoration, all require the cover of darkness. Night reduces competition, reduces pressure, reduces the need for constant reaction, not because day is bad, but because day is overstimulating. Darkness creates a biological environment in which the body can shift from defense mode to recovery mode. This is not optional, it is essential for survival. Light brings attention. Attention brings evaluation. Evaluation brings tension. In darkness, many layers of evaluation fall away automatically. Forest beings do not compare themselves when no one can see clearly. They do not need to perform strength. They do not need to defend an image. Darkness allows life to step off the stage. For the human mind, this is a crucial image before sleep. Much anxiety does not arise from real danger, but from the feeling of being watched, measured, judged. Darkness, both external and internal, is where these pressures loosen. In the psychology of Carl Gustav Jung, darkness is not equated with evil. He understood it as an essential part of the whole psyche, a place where compressed energies can rest, reorganize, and return in healthier forms. Jung wrote, "One does not become enlightened by imagining figures of light, but by making the darkness conscious." Here, darkness is not something to be eliminated, but something to be acknowledged. When darkness is allowed to exist, it loses its threat. It becomes a place of healing. The nighttime forest is a living expression of this idea. Darkness does not consume life. It prevents life from becoming exhausted. If one gentle image is needed for forest darkness, it is a wide embrace. Not tight, not demanding, just enough to shield from excessive stimulation. In darkness, the forest does not need to shine. It only needs to continue being. And that existence is protected precisely by not being exposed. This is an important feeling for the listener. Before sleep, you do not need to see everything in your life clearly right now. Some things only need to rest in darkness for a while, so they do not hurt you further. Much of humanity's fear of darkness comes from losing visual control. But sleep itself is a release of control. The forest teaches us that letting go of control does not equal danger. In darkness, there is a different order, a different rhythm, a different form of protection. Strong light is not required to prove that everything is okay. Without darkness, sleep cannot be deep. Without darkness, the body cannot enter recovery mode. Without darkness, the mind cannot release vigilance. The forest has endured for millions of years because it does not resist darkness. It cooperates with it. It allows darkness to do its work. As you listen now, notice that nothing in this darkness is threatening you. The voice is slow. The breath is steady. The body is held within quiet space. Darkness has not come to take anything away. It has come to relieve you of the need to hold on. And if you drift into sleep during this part, that is entirely natural. Because, like the forest, you are allowed to rest best when you are sheltered by darkness. When darkness no longer feels frightening, when it is sensed as shelter rather than threat, another doorway opens. Not in the forest, but within the human being. For a very long time, the nighttime forest has existed not only as an ecosystem, but as an inner image, a deep symbol carried within the collective memory. At this point, the story moves beyond biology and enters the landscape of the mind, where the forest is no longer only trees, soil, and darkness, but becomes a map of the unconscious itself. Part 14. The Forest and the Human Unconscious. A Jungian View. From the perspective of Carl Gustav Jung, the unconscious is not merely the forgotten part of the individual. It is also the collective unconscious, the place where humanity's shared images, instincts, and psychological patterns are preserved. And among these images, the forest is one of the most ancient archetypes. The nighttime forest appears in myths, folktales, dreams, and art across nearly every culture. It needs no explanation. Simply mentioning it is enough for the mind to understand this is a place where consciousness no longer holds absolute control. It is not accidental that humans feel both fear and attraction toward the forest at night, for within it we encounter the parts of ourselves that have not yet been illuminated. In the forest, there are very old paths formed not by maps, but by the repetition of footsteps. The human mind is the same. Deep memories, emotional habits, automatic reactions are unconscious paths worn over time. They are not bad. They exist because they once helped us survive. And just as in the forest, not every path needs to be erased. Some only need to be recognized so they no longer lead us astray in daylight. The layers of the forest, the canopy, the middle growth, the forest floor also correspond to different layers of the psyche. There are layers for clear awareness, layers for emotion, and very deep layers where ancient instinct resides, requiring no language, no explanation. One of modern humanity's greatest misunderstandings is the belief that everything in the mind must be brought into the light. But Jung understood that some parts do not need the light of consciousness in order to function in a healthy way. He wrote, "There is no coming to consciousness without pain. Not every journey needs to be completed immediately. Some parts only need to be allowed to rest in darkness. Just as many beings in the forest function best when they are not constantly illuminated." In this sense, the nighttime forest is not a place to be fully explored. It is a place permitted to exist without interference. Fear arises from the loss of control. Attraction arises from the promise of letting control go. These two feelings coexist because they touch the same deep layer of the psyche. The forest at night represents the capacity to go inward without a clear map. It reminds us that not every journey requires a defined destination. Some journeys only need to be entered and then allowed to unfold on their own. This is why the nighttime forest so often appears in transformative dreams when the psyche is preparing for a change that consciousness has not yet named. In Jungian thought, the forest is the archetype of the inner journey without control. Not a hero entering the forest to conquer it, but to become lost in a necessary way, so that what has not yet been known may emerge. Jung wrote, "Who looks outside dreams. Who looks inside awakes." Yet this awakening is not a state of tense alertness. It is a different kind of wakefulness, one in which we allow ourselves not to understand everything immediately. Falling asleep is very much like stepping into a nighttime forest. Consciousness recedes, control softens. Images, memories, and sensations that do not follow daytime logic begin to appear. And like the forest, sleep does not need to be managed. It needs trust. Trust that the unconscious knows how to organize, heal, and restore when it is given enough space. The most important message of this section is this: you do not need to guide yourself right now. Your inner forest existed long before you tried to understand it. You do not need to shine light into every corner. You do not need to name every emotion. You only need to allow the journey to unfold. If you are listening to these words in a state between waking and dreaming, that is precisely where the forest and the unconscious meet. There is no danger here, no demand, only a space wide enough for you to be yourself, without harsh light, without urgent answers. And if you drift into sleep here, remember this: you are not lost. You are entering a place where consciousness does not need to follow. After stepping into the forest of the unconscious, after realizing that not every path needs light, something very natural begins to happen. The urge to control gently fades. Not because you have understood everything, but because you no longer need to understand more. Like standing still in a nighttime forest long enough, your ears adjust to the sounds, your eyes stop searching for shapes, and your body begins to trust that here no reaction is required. And it is in this state that sleep, like the forest, opens not by command, but by permission. Part 15. Sleeping like the forest. Surrendering to the rhythm of night. One of humanity's greatest misunderstandings about sleep is the belief that sleep is a shutdown. The forest teaches us otherwise. When night falls, the forest does not stop functioning. It simply shifts into another rhythm, slower, deeper, more discreet. Roots continue to draw water. Fungi continue exchanging nutrients. Insects continue their work. There are no alarms, no collective commands, no one ordering the forest to sleep at a certain hour. And no being is awakened simply because enough time has passed. In the human world, sleep is often turned into a task. You must sleep. You must sleep enough. And if you cannot sleep, something is wrong. But in nature, sleep is not an achievement. It is a soft biological reflex that occurs when conditions are ready. Jung warned of the danger of using willpower to force processes that belong to the unconscious. He wrote, "The unconscious can make a fool of you in no time. Sleep is the same. The more it is forced, the more it retreats. The more it is monitored, the more it withdraws. But when you stop treating it as a task, the body begins to remember how to sleep, just as the forest never forgets how to change its rhythm. There is no clock in the nighttime forest ringing to announce time to rest. No creature worries about whether it has slept 8 hours. Biological rhythm is guided by light temperature, humidity, and real fatigue, not by plans. Applied to humans, the message becomes very gentle. You do not need to know when you will fall asleep. You only need to know that you are safe to change rhythm. Sleep does not come because you want it. It comes because you stop resisting it. The forest does not control every falling leaf. It does not track every broken branch. It allows processes to unfold because it has existed long enough to know that order does not require constant supervision. As you lie here listening, you do not need to actively relax. You only need to stop holding on. Stop holding thoughts. Stop holding the breath. Stop holding the intention to sleep. The body will take over just like the forest. Sleep is not your disappearance. It is the gentle withdrawal of consciousness, allowing deeper layers to operate. Those layers have worked for you for a very long time, long before you learned to name your thoughts. Jung wrote, "In each of us, there is another whom we do not know." Sleep is when you allow that other to take over a quiet shift. The most important message of this section is simple yet often overlooked. You do not need to force yourself to sleep. Like the forest, you only need to change rhythm. Perhaps a little slower, a little darker, a little less thought. Even if sleep does not come immediately, lying still within the rhythm of night is already a form of deep rest. The forest never tries to become daytime. It simply accepts that day has passed. And in that acceptance, every being knows what to do. So do you. No strategy, No technique, no further analysis, just being here, in this rhythm. If sleep arrives now, let it come. If not, that is also fine. The forest does not worry about this, and tonight neither do you. Sleep like the forest, without command, without force, just a gentle change of rhythm, soft and safe enough for you to let go. If you have listened this far, you may no longer be standing at the edge of the forest. You have been inside it for some time now, not through footsteps but through breath, not through sight but through quiet presence. The nighttime forest, through every layer of this story, has not asked you to remember anything. It has not required you to understand ecological systems, recall species names, or analyze symbols. It has done only one thing, patiently, and repeatedly shown you that life continues even without your attention. And that is the greatest gift sleep can receive. Humans are often tired not because they lack information, but because they do not know when to stop monitoring the world. By day, we are taught to be alert, to react, to control, to understand. Night is different. Night demands no skill. It only asks permission. The nighttime forest is living proof of this. No being in the forest tries to rest through effort. No species worries that letting go will cause order to collapse. Because true order does not arise from tension, but from simple rules that endure long enough to sustain themselves. Jung observed that when consciousness clings too tightly to the role of control, it becomes exhausted and impoverishes inner life. The unconscious is not the enemy of order, it is its deeper regulator. Sleep is the moment you allow that deeper layer to work for you. In the forest, darkness is not evil, it is shelter. It softens competition, reduces conflict, slows life down. In the human mind, it is the same. The darkness of sleep does not erase you, it holds you more gently. Perhaps by now you no longer hear every word clearly. Perhaps thoughts are beginning to drift like thin mist among tree trunks. This is not distraction. It is a sign that you are leaving the level of consciousness that needs control and entering the territory the forest has always known. You do not need to go anywhere. You do not need to achieve sleep. You do not need to do it correctly. Just remain still as the forest remains still in the night. If a thought appears, let it pass like distant leaves rustling. No need to follow it. No need to conclude. The forest does not react to every sound, and neither do you. If the body adjusts its position, allow it. The forest never holds a fixed shape. It makes small shifts to find new balance. Sleep arrives through such small adjustments, not through one sudden leap. Across this entire journey, perhaps the most important message is the simplest. You do not need to guard the world at night. The world knows how to function while you rest. The forest did this for millions of years before humans existed. It continues to do so every night, without witnesses, without recognition. And tonight, you are allowed to step back from being the observer, the thinker, the one who manages. You are allowed to be just a small, quiet part of the shared rhythm. If sleep has arrived, let it hold you. If not, remain still within the night's rhythm. Both are fine. Both are right. Because like the forest, you do not need to do anything to deserve rest. And now, as the night has grown deep enough, as the forest has fully changed its rhythm, as everything has slowed just enough, may you sleep gently. May you rest in safety. May you let yourself sink light as mist into the nighttime forest. Good night.